All right. Well, it looks like everybody is here. It's smack bang on 12 o'clock, so we can kick this off. A couple of intros just to tell everyone who's here. We've got David, as per usual, joining us from the States this time, though, as he's mentioned. And we've got our wonderful John as well. Are you there, John?
I am. Hello.
Hello, hello. And we've also got Phil sneaking up here to join us today. How you doing, mate?
Very good, Dan. Very good. Excited to be back.
Yeah, I think it's been a while, hasn't it?
Does this mean Phil's going to drop some alpha?
I think the alpha that I'm here to talk about has been well and truly leaked, but I can certainly add more color.
Yeah.
Excellent,
Was that me and Sahir?
It might have been, David. It might have been. In the infamous wink moment at the South by Southwest panel.
Yeah, I remember it well. Awesome.
Well, while we're on the topic, do you wanna start us off with anything you'd like to tell the community, and we'll get going.
Yeah. Sorry,
okay,
David. Go for
No. I just wanted to say a couple of words about South by and the trip so far. So I'm actually joining you guys live from LA at the moment at the Warner Music Group headquarters. Tucked away in a little room here. They were kind enough to let me do the AMA from here. I'm doing sort of a tour around all our recent investors in the seed round, making those partnership connections and talking about the upcoming things we're going to be working on together. Generally talking through the Web3 space. Sharing ideas and knowledge and sort of making connections, which is really cool. South by Southwest was amazing. It was an incredible event that was beyond the capability of my imagination to think about what it was going to be. It was one of those ones where I struggled to describe everything that was going on because we had, I think it was 8 ecosystem partners all pulling together over a period of a few weeks when we decided to go along to this thing, and we decided to make it a big statement about where the Ultra State Machine ecosystem is in this metaverse and Web3 space. And everybody just got their head down and put in the work to bring together their portion of the event, and we didn't really have, we were connecting on things, but you couldn't really, because you're so focused on your own stuff, you couldn't really sort of jump in and see all the stuff the other people were doing. So we were, equally surprised by some of the things that the other ecosystem partners brought along to the South by Southwest event. So it was a really amazing experience for us. The highlight for me was meeting all the awesome community members that turned up for the event in Austin. We were really lucky that we got to have a night out at Cooper's famous Texan barbecue a couple of nights before, or maybe it was the night before the South by Southwest event, which was really awesome. Got to chat with you all and meet you in person and shake your hands. And I think we must have stayed there for hours just talking about Ultra State Machine and the space. And it was truly amazing. So I can't wait to have the next one of those and see more of you on the next one. And yeah, that's about it from me. I'm going to be back in New Zealand on regular schedule from the 26th, I believe. And right about when the ASTO token should be getting dropped. So I think it's currently earmarked for the week of the 28th, which is it's on schedule for that. The Aragon DAO, the Harlan DAO is currently voting on the vesting schedules to be put in place, and that will kick off on the 28th as well. Once after the voting's closed. So that's the update from me. Maybe I can pass it over to Phil.
Yeah, thanks, David. Yeah, certainly sounds like an amazing time, and watching everything that happened at South by in the background from here in NZ was inspiring, but also a little bit FOMO inducing. So awesome work, and congrats to everyone on the ground from the ASM and Buffworld Ecosystems. That was a super awesome show. I just popped along today to talk a little bit about partnerships. This is an area that David has been working on incredibly hard in the States, of course, and I'm cranking away on that here too in New Zealand. This is an area of the business that's been really ramping up, and wow, I would love to just talk about all the opportunities that we have. Unfortunately, we can't, but we can talk about one or two, and we can talk about the way that we are looking at the opportunity space a little bit. So the first thing I'd like to do is I'll try and share screen if I can share screen. Not very good with this. Dan, do you want to give me a little bit of
it doesn't let you share a screen on a stage, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, I might just have to talk then. So so we of course David and Sahir made a nod to the fact that we're working on a massive project with Authentic Brands Group, who are one of our stalwart early partners, and our relationship with ABG is incredible. They are an immense brand group, and those of you who've taken the time to look at their site know that they are the owners of brands like Reebok, brands like Juicy Couture, Izod. They're the owners of sporting brands like Sports Illustrated, sports legends like Shaquille O'Neal, and they're also owners of a legends portfolio with Elvis, Marilyn, and the legendary Muhammad Ali. And the first project that we are working in earnest with ABG on is a metaverse boxing title, Muhammad Ali, the Next Legends. And we were just so pumped to work with the MA brand. It's just the opportunity from heaven, really. And the reason for that is that the metaverse for sports gaming, for gaming, it's a vast untapped space already. But particularly in sports gaming, we've got this sort of opportunity to bring over the huge sports fan bases around the world and sort of introduce them to this amazing thing called Web3, and to do that with ASM Smart Agents. And when we think about the universe of boxing, you could do a boxing game under any number of amazing boxing names, and they would be good. They would be good entries into the category. But if you wanted to work with one person, with one name, with one brand that really represents the entire spirit of boxing in its pure and best form, that man and that brand is Muhammad Ali, the greatest of all time. He's a brand who, unlike some other boxing brands, unites. He doesn't divide. He was a champion for peace in his time, notoriously anti-war in his approach, and he was a poet and an author and a speaker. He was also very funny. The man has a lot of character and a lot of chutzpah and a lot of sass, and he certainly would speak truth to power whenever he was on stage. So we've been having an incredible time in the background, bringing that to life and starting to work around the concepts of how players and participants in this metaverse boxing universe that we're creating will receive the call from Muhammad Ali himself, and how they will journey from the corners of the globe on their pilgrimage to this place, the greatest gym that we have and are creating. So incredibly exciting and huge scope. And I just want to loop back quickly to ABG themselves. I think there's often one thing we find when we're engaging with really big brands out there in the world, big classic brands. Often they are searching for a place to start with Web3. They can see that the writing is on the wall for the way that their brands have worked in the past, and they're looking to do something. But very often that looking to do something is in tension with their traditional business. And ABG are just miles ahead of the pack in terms of their thinking on it. It goes right to the top. Their CEO is all in on Web3, and they're doing some incredibly exciting things with their whole brand portfolio that's incredibly progressive. So expect to see more from them, both in the things that we're doing with them and the things that they're doing in the space in general. So pretty excited about that. Needless to say, before we go to question, actually, I'll pause there, and maybe we could take some questions. And Carmen said to me that I can drop something in the leaks channel. So I'll just pause for a moment and do that, and pass the talking stick back.
Perfect. Thanks a lot for that, Phil. Very, very exciting stuff. The Settled World channel is going absolutely nuts already. People are already thinking about what they need to do to get involved, how they want to play, all sorts. So it's big news coming out on this Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, and I'll see what I can get into the leaks channel here.
For sure. All right. So, if you do have any questions, start popping your hands up. It'll run as normal. Please join up with your mic muted and wait for your turn to speak once I introduce you. So obviously we have David here for all the David-centric questions, Phil as well as John for all your ASTO knowledge needs, as we are getting very, very close. I will start inviting people up now, so we'll go from the top of the list and just run it the same as we always do. But we've got a bunch of people here today to answer your questions, so you can get a lot of different answers here too. All right, let's see if anybody is ready to speak. Cool. We've got our first speaker, John Go. Welcome to the stage.
Hey, how's it going? Can you guys hear me?
We can indeed.
Great. Pretty simple question, but just wanted to get y'all's take on it. If we get airdropped the ASTO and we have some USDC, like how are you guys approaching this? Is it liquidity bootstrap auction? Like, what would be a good example of how to approach that? Like, is it wise to put a lot of ASTO in there? Like, what do you think?
Good question. So I think the first thing that I'd point you towards is the video that we recently released. So you might have seen it already, but in the announcements channel, we have a good video from DGen Trader Girl that works exactly through that process. And hopefully we'll give you some ways to think about the various decisions there. So maybe a couple things to consider. So you will be rewarded if you provide either ASTO or USDC. We are slightly favoring the ASTO side for the rewards. 75% of the reward pool will be for people who deposit ASTO, whereas 25% will be on the USDC side. So that's maybe one thing to consider. It's all about trying to establish a price for the ASTO token that, as a community, you guys think is appropriate.
Right.
And
so
based on the price you're seeing, you'll be able to balance it one way or the other.
So it just helped me understand and clarify. So if I was more bullish on the project long term, then I should put more of the ASTO into the liquidity bootstrap auction because that's the greatest chance for returns. Is that accurate?
So you'll get rewards both ways. So yes, if you commit ASTO, the more ASTO you commit, the more rewards you will receive from the liquidity bootstrap auction. So that's certainly true. And then on the other side, the more USDC you commit, the higher the price of ASTO is going to become. So that's kind of the way to think about it. But there will be rewards, whether you put in ASTO or whether you put in USDC, you will be rewarded either way for that.
Right. Okay, cool. Thanks for clearing that up. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. Great questions. David, is your microphone working again?
Test, is that working?
There, you're here. Hello, welcome.
There we go. Thanks.
I've been told you were talking and it died.
Yeah. It's all right. And it's on my phone, so it's a bit choppy. That's okay.
All right. JJ, are you there? I think you've just muted yourself. Oh yeah.
How's that?
Perfect. Welcome.
Okay. Hey guys, so glad to be here. First time contributing by asking questions. Yeah, so I guess just a couple questions, and if you just want to focus on one, since they're a little different areas, that's okay. But when you were talking about the ecosystem real fast, I know you guys probably can't share too much with all the different projects involved, but as far as the metaverse is concerned, as far as land, is there a certain world or platform that is already a focus, or are you guys kind of created with AFA and things like that? Are you guys going to be creating like new land with like its own metaverse, or as far as the big players, Decentraland, Sandbox, NFT worlds, are you focusing on any of those?
Jacob, would you like me to have a crack at that, or you want to go?
No, I think I got this one. So in the first instance, so Fluff World is building out their land, starting with the burrows, and their approach is something that we really like and believe in as well, which is this small to big approach of highly curated, amazing assets that grow in size as the community around the project grows. So starting off with the burrows, which will be interactive, already are released, and will soon be fully interactive VR as well as being able to host up to 50 people at a time, and then it'll go from there into bigger spaces, and then the overworld as the community, so that there's always something highly curated and interesting when you go into these metaverse spaces. So really love that approach. It's different from what's the exact opposite to what's out there at the moment, which is produce a whole bunch of flat land space and then hope that people sort of build on it, which is another approach. What we're doing with an altered state machine is our intention is to build an open, interoperable protocol, and the idea of an open metaverse is that all these assets and all these primitives and sort of Lego blocks that have been built to create this open metaverse are interoperable and open. So the idea is that things like our stadium assets will be able to go inside burrows or alongside burrows, or sit in the overworld within the Fluff World ecosystem, as well as go into places like Sandbox and Decentraland, and many of the other ones that are popping up, because that's what creates this sort of open metaverse that everybody is talking about, and the reason why we're doing what we're doing and not just going and getting jobs at Meta, right? Is to build out this open metaverse. So our intention is that these will be interoperable as many places as we possibly can, and you can start to see the inception of that with the Fluff assets. They're already built out different quality levels all the way from voxel up to the high quality sort of Unity engine stuff. No, Unity, Unreal Engine stuff, with the full fur simulations and the stuff that you see on the PFPs. And they've got interoperable assets all up the scale, right from voxel to, realistic looking rabbits, anthropomorphic rabbits. So that goes along with that vision of being interoperable across the space.
I just add a little point to that, JJ. The metaverse is where the people are. It's where you are. It's where we are. And David already nailed the concept of small to big. It's the attention and the participation and the vibe and the energy of the communities that create the metaverse. The fluff community, our community, and those coming together and being interoperable. Now they could be interoperable directly, but they can. The metaverse is the land-based approach to metaverses. It won't be the only one, but it does have a role for some other participants, particularly Web 2, I think, properties that are looking to come into the metaverse and want somewhere to plant their flag. But it's not the only thing, So I think that that very often there's this conversation about, which metaverse will win? And there's of course, no one builds our metaverse. The metaverse is the thing that is created by the joining together of all this energy, attention, and assets.
Awesome. Awesome. My secondary question was more related to the Bootstrap auction and with the Genesis brain. So among the Discord, the reoccurring thing in regards to the farming the Gen 2 brains was the idea that the airdrop would be enough to stake to farm 3 Genesis 2 brains. And so would a wise decision then be firstly using the ASTO airdrop for the Bootstrap auction to get rewards, and then after the lockup period, all the principal plus rewards would be returned to then still use towards brains?
Yeah, it's a great question. So there is a little bit of a trade-off here. So realistically, genome mining will probably begin before the end of the lockup period. So the lockup period for the LBA is going to be 3 months, and essentially at the end of that time, you're going to be able to withdraw what you've committed in the form of LP tokens. So there will be, so if you lock up your ASTO in the Liquidity Bootstrap auction, you will miss a period of genome mining just because you're going to be locked for at least a portion of that. But on the flip side, you'll also be able to participate in a large part of genome mining that will continue beyond the end of that 3-month period. Another way to look at it and another way to think about it is at the end of the Liquidity Bootstrap auction, so at the end of that 1-week period, there is going to be a deep pool of liquidity for the ASTO token on Uniswap, and you will be able to buy more ASTO at that point. So, if you want to really go deep into genome mining, you will have the option to buy ASTO prior to genome mining. But it's a really interesting question, and I don't think anybody knows, the optimal strategy here. I think it's something that we're all going to have to decide for ourselves how we want to go about it. But we do think that there's going to be pretty generous rewards for participating in the Liquidity Bootstrap auction, but we also know that there's going to be a lot of benefits to genome mining.
Okay, is there I don't know if it's the best word for it. Is there a penalty to, or even the ability to be within that 3-month period.
Could you repeat that one more time?
Yeah. So say that the primary focus was to be able to farm those 3 brains, but wanted to participate in the liquidity bootstrap auction. If, say, during that 3 months, to be able to start at the beginning of the genome mining, was there a ability to months, and is there a penalty if that's possible?
So I think your audio might have cut out a little bit, but I think I got the gist of the question. So yeah, so that 3 brains, that is assuming that you would commit all of your ASTO from the airdrop to genome mining. So if you do lock up some of that ASTO in the liquidity bootstrap auction, then you may not quite be able to hit those 3 brains. Unless that is you buy ASTO on Uniswap on the secondary market. Hopefully,
it also depends on how much everybody else is committing as well.
Right.
So
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I mean, it's hard. It's really hard to say exactly how this will play out because humans be humans, and we didn't put the time into making an AI that could predict this right down to the T yet. We'll sort it out for the next one, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what sort of strategies emerge. We're going to make sure that we provide as much information about what's going on so people can make informed decisions. But just like any sort of other market, we're going to have to see how it plays out to inform what kind of decisions are made.
And on my way out, just a last quick question: you said the ASM agents in regards to the boxing game, will the AFA All Stars have a part to play then in the sports boxing project?
It's not. No. There's not a strict crossover between those 2 at the moment.
For that game.
Yeah, but for other games, we are definitely looking at crossovers, and we have many irons in the fire, which we're looking forward to sharing.
Awesome.
So
Thanks,
guys. I just want to maybe comment on that a little bit. I think All Stars is really well suited towards sort of arcade style titles, like AFA All Stars, where it's not like super serious or sort of simulation level sort of stuff. And there's lots of really cool titles and games that you can do in the arcade space, which will be awesome to incorporate All Stars. Cool.
All right, thanks for your questions, JJ. BTC Hornet, welcome to the stage.
Hey guys, first of all, South by was great. You guys added a lot to it. It was a fantastic event. I was there for a small amount of time, just for Saturday and Sunday, but great going on that. It was very meaningful, and look forward to more events like that in the future. I have 3 quick questions. I'll be very quick asking the questions if you can be very quick answering with just only alpha, and we'll start with David. David, you are in the Warner Brothers offices right now.
Yes.
You are talking to lots of people today, getting friendly. I want to know, are they a silent investor putting money into ASM and to walk away and hope that money grows? Or are they participating in ASM ventures where they will have music or other activities engaging with the ASM in our community?
Yeah, so Warner Music is definitely not just a silent investor. They are very active in things that they invest in. They genuinely believe in this space. And some of the most sort of in-depth Web3 conversations I've had have been with the partners that we've brought into the seed round. And that's the reason why we brought them. They see it's like how Netflix seen the writing on the wall for the DVD delivery service, and through their weight in behind video streaming, because they've seen that revolution coming. A lot of not a lot, some very few select traditional companies, either in the VC space or in the media space or in the gaming space and other spaces, very small percentage of those see the future coming like Netflix did. And the guys at Warner that we've been dealing with are one of those very small select group of people.
Okay, that's promising. Nothing imminent, but you're working with ideas that you can engage with them and things that they can do in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a topic of discussion for sure.
Okay, now moving on quickly. You mentioned Muhammad Ali. Is this Muhammad Ali idea? Well, first of all, I'm wondering if you've talked to the Joe Frazier estate. That would be kind of cool. Is this a Genesis or Gen 2 brain use case game activity? Are there characters that would be minted for this activity?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So, but both. It's obviously you can use a Gen 2 brain or a Gen 1 brain if you so choose in this experience. And yes, there will be characters minted for this. We haven't spoken with the Joe Frazier estate. That is interesting. Just in general, when you're working with multiple pieces of legend IP, it can get more complicated. The thing we love about the MA partnership is how all-encompassing he is, and it's very exciting. But there's a little bit of a little bit of an insight into our thinking is that in many other sports spaces, having collaborations between superstars is particularly for team sports is much more doable, much more the norm. And I'll just leave it at that. But we are having conversations in team sports around the model that you described.
And lastly, thank you for that. And lastly, seems like a lot of brains going on here. So you got what, 40,000 brains for AFA minimum. You've got a bunch more brains from Muhammad Ali. Can you talk a little bit about the current brain cap? How you would expand that brain cap? What are the brain numbers that you envision in the near term based on just these two announcements? And I'm assuming when I'm mining Gen 2 brains in a couple of months, it's for both of these cases.
Yeah, a little bit. So we're going to need. So this is going to be the interesting part, and ultimately it will be decided by the DAO, which will be run by the community. So you guys, depending on what that supply and demand pressure is, will provide tools to sort of visualize and understand what that supply and demand pressure is. And as new projects are onboarded, the DAO is going to need to make decisions around adjusting those levers that the DAO controls to increase the supply of brains to the marketplace. And those levers are going to be like a cap on how much can be mined, and also what the incentives for mining are. So if we've got a massive game coming up, say for instance we secured a massive sports league franchise, and we knew we were going to need like 1 million players out there, then we'll need to obviously increase the amount of brains that are supplied to the market as quickly as possible. Some of those brains will come from Genesis brain users in the form of hereditary AI, but the vast majority of them will probably come from genome mining, which is the exercise that you guys will be participating in soon. And we might have to give an additional incentive to make sure that that supply of brains gets to the market as quickly as possible to service that use case. For example, The I think it's hard to say exactly what's going to be needed until we start to see those usage stats coming in. My plan is to provide more brains, more than 40,000 brains to the market for the launch of AFA, to make sure that people have the opportunity to do a little bit of swapping them in and out, and a little bit of testing between brains, so that they can see, okay, this one is performing in this way. Let me swap my spare one in there and see what happens. I think that's going to be kind of necessary.
Yeah. And so these brain cap numbers, these are decisions of the Harlan DAO, not us yet. Correct?
Yes, but they will be ultimately decisions of the Elder DAO, which is you guys.
Okay. Thank you. I've taken enough time. I appreciate the insight.
Awesome. Thanks for the questions.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Hornet. Great questions. Trying to get the big alpha out of David as per usual in these AMAs. Always love to see it. Glitchy, welcome to the stage.
Hi there. Great to be on the call, and I think we've already said, but amazing to meet you, David, and Erin, and Carmen, and Lenny. I've got no voice after a week in South by Southwest, but I thought BTC Hornet was going to start with what I'm about to say, which is 6 months ago. Could you imagine that you'd be doing an AMA from the Warner Music Studios?
So let me think. 6 months ago, no, I couldn't. Yeah, no, you hit
Pretty
the nail on
amazing,
the
isn't it? I just wanted to ask it more on the kind of the. Obviously, I met a few of the like ABG and Jamie Burke at the, and chatted to those. I just wondered whether, when you made the decision about how much you were raising and how you were going about that, like how you chose how much you wanted to raise. And the numbers don't matter to me, but what was the process about deciding how much you wanted, and also kind of my understanding is that you chose to kind of cap that amount, and you probably could have raised more, and what the decision there was. And then follow up on that with those people that in the second round, but also some of the people in the first round, when they see the growth and they hear your plan and what you're planning to do, what did they consider to be your biggest kind of, not stumbling blocks, but the biggest areas where not necessarily concerning, but where you might need a lot of help and where you might have problems just because of the potential growth that they foresee?
Yeah. So the first question, the decision on that was one that I made with the whole sort of senior leadership team. So the likes of Aaron McDonald and Dan Gillespie and Phil and Hal, and we really thought through it. Aaron and Dan have an incredible amount of experience and knowledge in this space, and as you guys, I think most of you all know, that he has 60 portfolio companies himself in the venture space. And he is a general partner of 2 funds. So this is stuff that's really up Aaron's alley, right? This is stuff that him and Dan do on a daily basis. The decision to, I think it's extremely wise to always take what you need, and no more. Don't go into the route. It's always better to be undervalued than overvalued, and you get a whole lot of benefits in doing that. The pressure on from the market isn't as much. Once you come out and say, we raised $200 million valuation seed round or something like that, then everybody, as you paint a target on your head, right? And everybody wants to chop you down a notch. So staying humble, taking what you need, is always smarter, and it also means that the upside is greater for those who have invested in you and are there to help. So they've got more incentive to work with you to do great things, because the upside is so much better. So there's lots of factors that go into making that decision, but it might be the Kiwi in me, but it's always better to be underestimated and succeed than overestimated and fail.
Maybe
And
into
what was
that.
the second question? Sorry, I forgot.
And just on the stumbling blocks in terms of the mega growth that might be expected.
Yeah, so we know what we're experts in, and there's things that we're not experts in. So one of those things, for example, is song rights management. It is an incredibly complex and difficult realm to navigate with a lot of friction and a lot of inefficiency in. So the stumbling blocks for us is getting into these spaces and not having the support or knowledge to navigate some of these more complex things. So that's the reason why we've brought on partners, and one of the reasons why we've brought on specific partners in this space is to work with us on those sorts of things. And then we have regular conversations with the partners that we've brought on, the investors that we've brought on, around concepts that we don't have experience or knowledge in, and that's the reason they're brought in to sort of fill those roles.
That's awesome. Just one final question, just in terms of these different games, like you're mentioning the Muhammad Ali one. Am I right in thinking that and Atom Car Club, etc., if you're playing the game and you're using your Genesis brains, and those brains are performing particularly, like a couple are performing particularly well, that you may have an additional advantage by having Genesis brains in these assets, so that you can use the hereditary AI to create potentially an even better version with that learned, trained history that you wouldn't get by just throwing a Gen 2 brain in these things.
Yeah, maybe. That's one of the really interesting metagame pieces that's going to come out of this at a platform level, which is the stuff I'm really fascinated by, is sort of like emergent metagame within systems, where you start finding different ways to interact and gamify the process that you're involved in. And that's one of those really interesting things that's going to be the breeding mechanics and how they apply to the different games, and how a hereditary AI is going to be deployed by the community.
Amazing, really fascinating. But yeah, again, just thank you so much. I think I went out to South by Southwest with a 99.5% conviction and came away with 99.99. So, and that's just based not just you, but everybody that I met, all of the team, but the partners, the community, everything. So really, really excited. Hence why I'm awake at 11:45. But thanks again. Look forward to seeing the rest of you soon. Cheers.
As always, PJ, and it was awesome meeting you, and I had a wonderful time, and I can't wait for the next one.
Cool, New Year, baby.
All right, thank you very much, PJ. New Year's. Yeah, I keep hearing something about New Year's, David. Something must be happening.
It's been bounced around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thank you very much, PJ. DP Blue, welcome to the stage.
Thanks for having me. Can you hear me?
We can.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I had an awesome time at South by Southwest too, and definitely it was awesome meeting people. I actually met BTC Hornet and PJ there, and I was bummed I didn't get to meet you, David. I think I thought there would be a time when you'd be less busy, which was kind of dumb of me, but I was glad I got to see you and the ABG guy winking at each other before you started talking about the boxing game.
I didn't know it was that obvious at the time, and then after it was like everybody knew.
It would be awesome if we had more of these AMAs live and could try to read your body language more. So my questions are about primes, and I've been sitting on my hands, holding my tongue for months after getting a prime, But now, after there's been so much alpha about bosses, and in the spirit of community and transparency, this seems like a great time to share more about them, right? So you mentioned that their role would have something to do with breeding. And so my first question is that about AFA characters? Could you speak a little more about what you meant about that?
Yeah, so this is one of those situations where the research is still being completed on the mechanics behind it. So I'm always a little bit hesitant to confirm specific details and things, especially big things like that are going to have an impact on the market and on the price of assets without having those mechanics 100% locked down. I think it is a little bit irresponsible to to pump the price on something and then later on not be able to deliver on the thing that put that price pressure on. So I'm always going to be really cautious about those sorts of things. And I know it's a little bit annoying, but I just want to make sure 100% the mechanics are going to work like we say they're going to work. And that way, those when people go in to buy those assets, they're not getting ripped off.
Okay. So, I mean, could you say if it's for the characters or the brains? I'm assuming it's for characters, but I figured I'd ask.
That's for characters, yeah.
Okay, and so,
just like when you're going to need a lot of brains, as we get more players playing AFA, we're going to need more all-stars for the market.
Yeah. And so I'm assuming they wouldn't be involved with the boxing game then?
Not this. So the boxing game is going to be of a slightly different aesthetic. I don't know what Phil is leaking. Has he put it?
Well, if you actually, I can. I'm going to chuck it in leaks afterwards, so I don't derail the great questions. but if you look at my avatar, that is actually a very early prototype of the kind of artwork that we're conceiving for this game.
Oh wow, it is too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right there, hiding in plain sight. So yeah, and it's I sort of actually thought that after we touched on it a little bit earlier in this AMA. And again, David nailed it with his comment about the AFA All Stars being very arcadey. The mechanics of the All Stars, the way they're rigged, it was a very deliberate design and creative choice to make it that fun, vibrant, colourful arcade world that is AFA. And when you get into sports and boxing and more real world, the motion and the aesthetic and the look is very, very different. So we're going to see more crossover between AFA and arcade titles, and then more crossover between the Muhammad Ali game and other sports titles would be our expectation.
Cool. Awesome. That's super cool. Okay, then I just have one more question. I think in the chat once, or maybe it was during the unboxing that Ready Player Doubt did, David, I think you mentioned that there might be, or hinted that there might be different tiers of primes. And if could you say if that's true, and if so, how would their functions be different from one another?
So no, not different tiers of primes. I was just saying, I think I vaguely remember that there was whiskey and hot sauce involved, I believe, in that podcast or event. But I think I was talking about how they pulled a superhero in Prime, if I remember correctly. Carmen, is that right? In the Ready Player Doubt. Yeah. So they pulled a superhero in Prime, which is kind of like an additional level of rarity because it's a superheroine. So it's like, I mean, I don't know if that's technically correct, Phil, but in my mind, like a Prime's like rare, but then a superheroines are also super rare. So like combined together, they were, in my opinion,
Yeah. I mean,
rarest.
a prime is a prime, yeah, but you know, the superhero primes, you know, there is the smallest number of them of any family. So yeah, they're pretty damn special.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay, well, thanks so much for having me.
It was a pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for the questions.
Awesome. Thank you for coming along. We've got time for a couple more questions in regards to trying to get alpha, get that ASTO knowledge, anything about tokenomics. So we probably won't have enough time to get to everyone with their hands up, but we'll try our best. Tybo, you're up next. Welcome to the stage.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can indeed.
Just in question in the future of the mining of brains, is that going to be the only way that you guys are going to realistically release brains? Or could there be like a potential where some game company goes, all right, well, we need 1 million brains for the 1 million players that we need for our game? How would you go about like dealing with that? Is that something you guys have thought about? And
Yeah.
yeah, what is your plan of action if that was to happen?
Yeah.
That's just one question. I've got another one after that.
That is definitely, that's something that we have thought about, and definitely a probability that that situation will arise. The answer to that is it will have to be up to the DAO, because it will have ramifications on the supply and demand of assets for asset holders, and we'll need to be really clear on what those ramifications are. So that would go out to the DAO as a vote for a decision like that, I would say.
Right. So could there be even the potential of like with the DAO making like a proposal if someone wants to buy or participate by getting 1 million brains, they would have to purchase a certain amount of ASTO as a way of like, you know, is that something that you guys have thought about as well, of like, you know, making it so that if we are going to be giving out that many brains, that they would have to participate in the ecosystem somehow? And is that something the DAO can like create as well? Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. One more question relating to like the auction. So after 3 months, I believe everyone can then claim their LP tokens and whatever rewards they get after that. Is there going to be further incentivization of keeping my LP tokens in the liquidity pool afterwards?
Yeah. Really good question.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, really good question. That's definitely something we're thinking about a lot. And just a quick note on the rewards. So the rewards will actually start distributing immediately after the 1 week liquidity bootstrap auction. And they're going to distribute linearly over that 12-week period. So you will actually get the rewards a little bit quicker than the end of those 3 months. But yeah, so absolutely, we are going to need a plan for, you know, incentivizing long-term liquidity for the protocol, and we're working through a number of options. You know, like the way that a large number of protocols handle this is by enabling users to stake their LP tokens and then receive some kind of reward for doing so. So I guess that's the typical yield farming model, and we may well end up with something like that because we will need liquidity for the long term.
Great, cool. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, guys. Appreciate everything you guys are doing. I love everything about ASM. And will you guys mention anything more about Burn Down, or is that not really related to you guys?
I talk with Jeffrey a lot about Burn Down, but I'm not going to steal my brother's alpha. That would get me a hiding.
But So we will hear something about it soon from Jeffrey. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Like,
either that or I'll slip up.
all right,
You don't
cool.
know, or Aaron will. Who knows these days?
Yeah. All right, cool, guys. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a race to the will it be an official alpha leak? Will it be an accidental alpha leak? Will it be leaked and no one notices? Because sometimes that happens as well. So it's
That happens.
always fun to see where it goes down. But Trevor, you're up next. Welcome to the stage.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I got essentially 2 quick questions, and I'll get them out quickly so we can listen to you guys talk. First, can you guys give us any more details about how Brains will integrate with the Fluff ecosystem? And then kind of the second part is how are the economics of stadiums going to work? Can you give us any more information about that?
Yeah. So at the moment, the only thing that's been released about Fluff World and how they're utilizing Brains is the thingies stuff that has been that we've been talking about for a little while now. So that's the generative art and objects stuff that the thingies will be able to do, and already have done. And the fact that thingies are a brain specification that is self-contained within the thingy relating to its fur pattern. So that's the first use case for brains within the Fluff sort of family. The other ones that are being worked on are I'll need to wait until Fluff World releases the info on those. So again, I probably can't steal their alpha as much as I'd like to.
Sure, understood. Yeah, and then again, the second part was just, can you guys give us any information on how the how the economics of stadiums are going to work?
Yeah, so that's another one that similar to that earlier question on primes that I want the R&D to be finished on those economics to make sure that everything is working before I make big announcements around how those things work, because they are related to bosses, and that will have an effect on the price of bosses. If I start making claims and if those claims aren't 100% correct in the end, then that's a situation I don't want to be in. What I probably can say is stadium owners will be able to run leagues and tournaments. Naming of those things hasn't been finalised, but that'll give people the ability to, and they'll give them the ability to design the rules around how those leagues and tournaments are run, and people will to jump into ones that they want to specifically participate in. But it'll be an asset where that'll earn rewards for people playing.
Okay, cool, awesome, thank you, appreciate the answers.
No problem. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks very much for coming along, Trevor. Chasing Tails, welcome to the stage.
Hi guys, long time no
Hey,
speak.
I know it's been forever.
I know. I'm super jealous of every one who got to go to South by, but the talks that got streamed were awesome. So stoked that you managed to share it with the rest of us, and we had a great games night in the Discord as well. So thanks for the local team for putting that on.
And so I was a little bit jealous about the games night, to be honest. We need to do another one that where I can attend. That would be cool.
Definitely. I just have a couple of questions. One on the auction for the tokens and stuff. This might be really rudimental, but the video was fantastic and really clear. My only question is around the LP token that you have at the end, and the example in the video was like at the end of it, it was a mixture, I believe, of like USDC and ASTO. And if I was someone who had purely put ASTO in, regardless of rewards, if I just put ASTO in, do I get a mixture of ASTO and USDC back? Is that correct?
Yeah, good question. And thanks for the kind feedback on the video as well. I think that's worth checking out for anyone who hasn't seen it so far. But yeah, so whether you put in ASTO or USDC, the thing that you're going to get out of the contract in 3 months' time is LP tokens. And essentially what you can do with those LP tokens, you can go to Uniswap and you can withdraw those LP tokens, and what you'll receive is a combination of ASTO and USDC determined by the current price of ASTO at that time. So yes, so no matter what you put into the auction, you're going to get out LP tokens, which are going to be redeemable for a combination of ASTO and USDC. So hopefully that explains it.
And when you cash those out, it will be based on the price on that day, the market price.
Exactly. So yeah, so the ratio at the end of the auction, so it could be that, at the end of the auction, ASTO is trading at, say, $2 a token. It could be, 3 months from now, it could be that ASTO is trading at $3 or $4 a token. And because of that change of price, the ratio that you'll get back will be slightly different. And in particular, if the price goes up, it means that you'll receive more USDC. The ratio of USDC will be higher. And if the price goes down, you'll receive less USDC. So that's one way to look at it.
The potential is if you put all USDC in and the price goes up, you actually come out with less ASTO because, is that right?
Sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
So like if I put in 100 ASTO and at the end of it, say I end up with 50% ASTO, 50% USDC coming out in the LP token, and the price of ASTO has gone way up compared to when it started, then I've potentially gone a little bit backwards.
Yeah, so if the price of ASTO has gone up, that means that there's more USDC in the pool, which means that you'll receive more USDC back. That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah. So the people who put USDC in might be better off in that situation than the ones that put ASTO in. Is that correct?
I think that's completely determined on what you define as better off. I think the price going up is probably a good thing. So
no, I just mean only put ASTO in, and then you get half USDC. Is the USDC price that you get back in USDC, but the value of ASTO? Sorry, I'm not very good at this stuff.
No, it's all right. It is confusing. So I think we could do a better job posting more links to explain this. So the material that would be good for everyone to look at is automated market makers, and in particular how price changes impact LP tokens and what you can receive out of these automated market makers. So I think we can do a better job with education and posting links there. So I think it's really good questions, Chasing Tails, and maybe we'll follow up with some good resources for that.
Yeah, I see Fama Roach has just said it's a permanent loss, so I'll look that up.
Exactly. So it's those kinds of concepts, and they are a little bit hard to get your head around, but it would be worth everyone to read up on that.
Yeah, awesome. And one other question I have is just around arenas for the ecosystem, and I'm assuming that there is more than just boss generated arenas going to be around. Is that?
Yeah. I just answered that one in the sort of world Chasing Tails. Yeah, there are. Yeah, no, that's exciting. Obviously there's an arena for every boss, but there are also other arenas, and we're busy working on how that all goes.
And will they be an equivalent to a boss one, or is there like tiers of arenas?
Yeah, arenas are arenas, so they'll all function in the same way, but just how they'll get to market and what they'll do. Some of them might have special traits, but there's still some of that TBA.
Okay, interesting. Cool. I think that's all at the moment.
Awesome. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Yeah, we'll definitely look at getting some more sort of knowledge bases out around the auctions and such. So maybe we'll catch up next week, John, and work together on that. Beautiful. Awesome. All right. We've got time for a couple more quick questions. Let's go with Death Vader. Welcome to the stage.
Yeah, hey guys.
Sorry.
Pretty incredible work that you're doing so far. I have a quick question in regard to the ASTO staking to farm the Gen 2 brain. Is that going to be done on a fixed staking amount of ASTO, or is that going to be paired to a US dollar amount worth of ASTO to farm a brain? Obviously, the original staking is going to be a fixed amount, but going forward, how is that going to work?
So it'll be based on ASTO, regardless of price. But that's one of those levers. So the first one will set, but that's one of those levers that the DAO will have authority to change.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Brilliant. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks for your question. And it looks like that's about time for us. Are there any closing notes, David, from you?
No, just apart from how awesome it was to see everyone at South by South, and thank you all for the incredible support that you gave us and the team and the rest of the ecosystem, and really looking forward to the next time we can do something like that.
Yeah, for sure. It's exciting times ahead. Maybe we'll start doing some more. John, anything from you?
Oh, I just say I just want to thank the community for their patience as we've been going through this process with releasing the token. At this point, we're very, very close, and we can't wait to be releasing more things. I'd say for those of you who are interested in learning more about the vesting and how that's working, you can actually check out the Harlan DAO, and you can see those votes going through right now. So you can even scroll through, and you can see all the different investor addresses and how that's working. So I think that's very exciting. And then we're getting very close to both that airdrop and the LBA. So I just thank you all for your patience and really can't wait for that.
Awesome. Thanks very much, John. Phil, any closing notes from yourself?
Did you leak it yet?
I'm so afraid. Hey, thanks everyone for tuning in. I just want to touch again on the partnerships work. I know that you're all after hard alpha, but just with the work David's doing in the US and the work I'm doing with our partners internationally, the partnership space for us, what you see is the tip of the iceberg at the moment. It's all below water, and it's coming up real quick. So what I'd like to do in the coming weeks is actually where there have been sort of announcements or indications around projects that are working with us, just to put up a little sort of who's who chart where we can say, hey, this is a project we're working on. This is a big focus for us. And this is a friend of ASM, and just so people understand a little bit more about the conversations we have going with various projects. Obviously, we can't go into super detail on a lot of them, but we'll share what we can, because I know those questions are quite common. So we can add this sort of as we move forward. We can add this to our transparency initiative.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for that, Phil. And yeah, keep your eyes peeled on that Leaks channel, everybody. Hopefully something coming soon. Thank you to everyone for jumping up on stage. Thank you for our speakers as well. It's been a great AMA, and I hope you all have a lovely morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you are in the world. And that's us signing off.